Hey, it's Pete with BackDraft Bikes. Welcome back to the channel. We got a cool bike we're about to look at today, the Dark Horse. Let's get murdered. We're gonna throw our leg over the Roadmaster PowerPlus Dark Horse. And I gotta tell you, this bike looks super intimidating because of its size and some of the refinements they made. But once you ride it, like I just did, whew, I mean, it's awesome. Let me take you around it. The Chieftain models basically have been a staple with Indian's lineup for a long, long time. Indian really puts a lot of work into these bikes to make them really their flagship models. And when you look at the engineering and the refinement that comes into it and the styling cues on it, I mean, I really like these bikes. And I'm not a big cruiser guy by any stretch of the imagination, but I look at these bikes and I kind of want to get one, but my wife won't let me. Isn't that the case? So this bike right here, a lot of changes for this year, and this is the big one. 112 cubic inch PowerPlus motor. This 112 engine, the big difference is, if you didn't spot it already, liquid cooled. So this is the first time on these big manimal of bikes they have put these liquid cooled motors in, and I gotta tell you, these engines really, really perform. I rode one already on another bike and I was actually blown away at how much power these bikes have, and they sound true and feel true to the V-twin experience, which is, again, just kind of crazy. So let's start out. First off, they haven't been intimidated. They still have the Indian head on the front. It does light up. Now it's an LED strip, which is kind of cool. You have dual Brembos in the front with forged aluminum, black with the accent on it for the machine aspect. They have some really, really, really nice fog / driving lights, which couples up to their other headlight that they have, all LED with LED driving lights. I just think their lighting package on this bike is phenomenal. The other thing that Indian does on this, because of course this is their Grand Pumbaa touring model, is heated seats front and back. You've got speakers built into the front, the back of the seat, the side of the side bags, and then the front of the bike, which is crazy. You've got dashboards, you've got an electronic windscreen, there's these little cubby holes down here you can put your beer in. I mean, the bike has got everything. And the luggage on the bike, if you're wondering, is pretty good. It opens up frontwards, which some of the Harleys open on the side, but I kind of do like the way that this opens. You can fit 2 full-size helmets in there or 36 beers. It's all blacked out, it's all murdered out. It's a cool looking bike, so let's go. Before I even start this bike, I'll just tell you, this is a heavy bike. This is 900 pounds by the time you get fuel into it. So it's probably one of the heavier bikes you're gonna buy. But to take it off the kickstand, not intimidating at all. Not as much as you would think. I think my Sportster from the 70s in the home garage is harder to take off the kickstand. We'll just power it up for a second. I think Indian does a fantastic job at their electronics, although Harley Davidson now has a very large panoramic infotainment system, which I do like a little bit better. One feature though that you're gonna see has come onto this bike now is the blind spot detection, which is right here. And you also have a rear radar situation. If somebody comes up too fast to you, the radar sees it and then says, hey, back off, and it flashes the lights, which is kind of cool. I mean, the whole thing, it doesn't shake as much as I thought it would, but it is right there. All right, the 121 is really the story on this bike, because it gives you 126 horsepower and 133 foot-pounds of torque. Mind you, this is a liquid-cooled motor, so they're sticking true to the V-twin's ability to produce that torque. It sounds awesome, but it's super smooth. I mean, this is the factory exhaust too, by the way. This is not, there's no aftermarket anything on this bike. mean, when I hear that, I literally like want to just like start licking the side of the tank. This thing is just amazing. I don't even know why I said that. Here we go. I mean, this is a massive bike that we're moving down the road, and to be able to just twist the throttle and rock and roll is amazing. I've ridden this engine platform now a few times, and I will tell you, this is my biggest surprise with this. Redline is past 6,000 RPMs. On the traditional pushrod V-twin air-cooled motor, at 3,000 RPMs, you're looking to try to find another gear. This thing is pulling you back in the seat past 6,000 RPMs. The power does start to taper off right around 6, but I mean, it pulls right up through there. So that to me is just, it's amazing. Now, if we were to get Marty McFly and Doc and build a time machine and go back like 5 years ago before they started making engines like this, I wouldn't have believed you if you told me that they were going to have a liquid-cooled V-twin that if you close your eyes, sounds exactly the same. It to me is just, it's really astonishing where technology has come. Let's just talk a little bit about this bike a little bit. With technology, we talked about the infotainment system already. It is pretty cool because it has a sat-nav built into a GPS where you require no phone connected to it to actually get a signal, so you don't need cell phone service, which is good. There is an electronically adjustable windscreen that goes up and down, and it goes up enough, and again, I'm 6'4", that I'm completely covered by this windshield, which is great if you were to get stuck in a rain shower, but terrible if it's hot out. So you can actually pull it right back down, and at the very tail end of its retraction, it tilts back a little bit, so I do feel it in my helmet, which again is great when it's hot like it is right now. This also has the ability to pair your phone with it with Apple CarPlay, so you can actually, use your navigational apps that you like to use, like Waze or Apple Navigation if you're into that. And that's helpful because, again, you're going to get real-time traffic information, accidents, even objects in the road with Waze, which I always talk about. The luggage on this bike, I showed you a few snaps of that walking around, but it's a total of like 37 gallons of storage. 37 gallons of storage. So you could take this bike for a camping trip and probably not have that much stuff on the outside of the bike when you think about it, which is pretty cool because that way everything's secure and dry. All right, we're gonna make a pretty sharp corner here. Okay, so as to be expected, the brakes on this are good, but they're not phenomenal. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this bike pulls like a diesel train. I kind of like the stripped down version with the 112, but I think this bike is very adequate. You're looking at like an ultra classic, ultra glide, electra glide, Roadmaster type platform from Harley that they're kind of going after in this, but this is an expensive bike without any options, just all murdered out. It's $38,000. So again, if you were to compare apples to apples and you put a Harley right next to this, they're pretty close on the price point, but Harley is definitely going to be more. This bike is going to be a little bit more of a value as far as what you're getting and the actual price point. I will tell you, the suspension on these bikes is unbelievably plush, and it does not make the bike want to wash out because Indian is very good at balancing their bikes. That's been kind of one of the things that's always really impressed me about the Indian bikes. They're very, very well balanced. They handle well, but they're a heavy bike, so you can push this bike in and out no problem around the parking lot. You can back out of spots without feeling like you're gonna break a leg or get your rebuilt knee ripped out. But when you get on it and you ride, it's plush. It just really cruises down the road, floats down the road, I should say. That should be the term I should use for it. This road is extremely bumpy. I mean, these are serious bumps, and this bike, no discrimination whatsoever. You don't even, honestly, you really don't even feel it. Now that could be a coupling between the suspension setup on this bike, but this seat that I'm sitting on too has got to be one of the most comfortable seats out there. Coming off of most of my bikes that I ride are your upright adventure style, just because my back bothers me so much. I'm very, very picky about my seat, and therefore there's a lot of selection that I have to go on when I'm going to buy a motorcycle. I want the bike to be comfortable, but I have to be able to ride it. And you can definitely ride this bike. You could ride this bike a long time. I would have no problem riding down the road with it without reservation on a long trip. One of the things that Indian is incorporating into most of their new models, I know this bike is not an exception, is their new ECM control for suspension, braking, and throttle. It's a real safety feature because the bike now has 7-axis, computer that's going to computate the braking, throttle response, traction control, all those things. The traction control, ABS, cornering ABS, all that stuff seems like it's almost a given now on your top tier bikes, but the safety that it brings it's a real thing. I mean, if you go into a corner, especially like right now, the road's a little wet, you go into a corner and you spin around, you could end up getting yourself into a world of hurt just because you lose traction on the corner. And a bike like this is instantly going to recognize that and either tap down the brake, tap down the throttle. It's going to give you what you need to prevent wiping out. Speaking of the brakes on this bike, they're good, but this is a really heavy bike, so don't expect performance. I really jammed on them back there when I went to make this corner just because I really wanted to try. I just wanted to see, like, what is this bike, is it going to stop? And it did, it stopped, but I did feel like I was driving a truck. So just the difference between like your Honda Accord versus your GMC 1500, you do feel a little bit of a difference. This bike incorporates electronically linked brakes, so any of those new models that have the ECM that's controlling your, monitoring your pitch and roll and G-forces and all that jazz, that's going to be able to accommodate electronically linked braking because it knows where the bike's pitching. Now the cool thing about that, and this is brand new technology, I believe Harley Davidson really started pushing this, and I noticed it on my brand new Pan America. I mean, it's amazing how well it works. But when you have the electronically linked braking and you jam on the front brakes, as long as you're not in some sort of circus mode on the bike where you're off-road or whatever, the bike doesn't do a dive. See? I mean, it dives a little bit, but not like a bike used to where you really had to watch and mind the foot pedal. The electronically linked braking can see if you're going to dive, and it will proportionate the rear brake. And automobiles have been doing this forever because we don't have separate pedals for the back. There's a proportioner valve on a car that sees the pitch of the car and adjusts it or proportions the brakes. So it's kind of cool that motorcycles are catching up to that technology. It's definitely safer. Prevents, because if you jam on your front brakes and you bury your tire into the ground, especially with a heavy bike, you will then lose your steering. I mean, there's just a lot of things. So yeah, it's kind of wild. Indian also does not really have an affiliate marketing plan with an audio manufacturer, so they use this power band, I think they call it power band or something like that, audio system. I've turned these speakers up, they're all waterproof, and there's like 6 of them on this bike. Like I said, they sound fantastic. This is a YouTube video. I can't, first off, the mic ain't gonna pick it up very well anyways, but the copyright strikes I'll get, I can't do it. So kind of cool that this sound system is so good, and it sounds good from the back. From what someone told me when their passengers on it, you can still hear it well, so that's kind of cool. I kind of like the blind spot mirroring on a big bike like this, but it also saves you from having to do this with your head when you're cruising. I feel like when you're on a motorcycle, you have more of an awareness of what's around you. So I've noticed BMW, I think a few other manufacturers are now doing blind spot monitoring, and I kind of think it's cheesy. I'm not sure why you would really need that, but I can understand you may want it, and it is another safety feature that you don't have to think about. I'm in 4th gear, just cruising along, just around 2,000 RPMs. And you can roll in and you can feel the bike want to take off, but it's nothing dramatic. And again, the rake of this bike and the weight of this bike are going to temper down the, I guess, the neck snapping power that you might have from this engine platform. Again, they've now put this in the other Chieftain, the smaller one, not the Roadmaster like we're driving right now. And I took that for a ride. The video will be on my channel at some point. I gotta say, that bike is a rocket ship. That bike compares right to the CVO STs, except it actually feels smushy to ride. It's not as bad as it is before. All right. We get one more takeoff here. With some aftermarket pipes, I think this bike would sound even more amazing. But actually, from the factory, I've always said this, but Indian does probably the best from the factory exhaust that I've heard. And again, jamming on the brakes. You do get a little bit of front brake dive, but it's not bad. Here we go. This is not a slouch. It's not pulling you off the handlebars, but it definitely gets out of its own way. And I took it right up to redline, 6.5. The bike doesn't do one of the bam, bam, bam to bounce off the redline violently. What it does is it just slightly turns the throttle down until your RPMs drop. So I like that soft touch of the rev limiter. I think that's a pretty, that's a pretty good design. So that's my thoughts on this bike. It's a great cruiser. You could literally drive this bike with 2 fingers. It's so well balanced. It's extremely comfortable. There's plenty of room. The floorboards for my snowshoe feet fit awesome, and I have plenty of room to stretch out. I think Grandpa 5000, my older friend, drove one of these, and he wanted to trade his Goldwing in. That's how much he liked it, but he never did. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've been riding and you enjoyed this bike, please let me know. Also, let me know what your thoughts are as far as comparison goes to some of the competition that this bike stacks up against. Maybe the Road Glide or the Ultra Classic or something like that. Definitely not a slouch. I like power. Well, I'm going to sign off now, but as always, please ride safe.